I just wanted to kind of see like if you were in good spirits.
This is like a box of hell.
Lil Durk has never sugarcoated how brutal jail life is, but now shocking new footage has surfaced. And it's got fans shook. The clip shows Durk and one of his closest homies struggling in conditions that look straight up ruthless, leaving people online questioning just how safe he really is. Enemies are circling, and behind bars, there's nowhere to run. The viral footage spreads like wildfire, and it paints a dark picture of what Durk is up against inside. Locked down at MDC Los Angeles, the place already carries one of the nastiest reputations in the prison system. We're talking about a facility where judges themselves have called it barbaric.
Been good, man. Mentally, spiritually. I've been on top of my...
From tragic suicides to non-stop violence, dirty guards moving contraband, and gangs running wild, this is the kind of environment that can eat a man alive. For Durk, it's not just the weight of the charges on his shoulders. It's the fact that every single day inside those walls is a gamble. He's got enemies waiting for him on the outside and ops ready to test him on the inside. With the history of beefs and street drama that follows him like a shadow,
This is like a box of hell. We don't get no news, no talk, no nothing. If you don't call or somebody send it to you on the computer, it's a wrap.
life inside MDC feels more like a ticking time bomb than just doing time. And the wildest part? One of the most circulated clips right now isn't even video. It's a phone call. Durk got on the line with DJ Academics, and the rawness in his voice gave fans a rare window into his headspace.
I ain't really on too much of nothing, bro. I don't even be thinking about the outside.
I seen your father, like, he was speaking about you, and it brought me back to the conversation we had.
You can hear the strain, the stress, and the way he's trying to hold it all together while the world waits to see if he'll ever walk free again. That statement, delivered with Durk's signature calm but cutthroat composure, shows exactly the mindset that's carried him through every storm of his career. But when you peel back that steel exterior, you see a man staring down the darkest possibility of all, the rest of his life spent behind those walls. The weight is heavy, separated from his kids, cut off from his Queen India Royale, and forced to watch his empire, the music grind he's built non-stop for over a decade, stand still while he's trapped inside. That silence eats at him. And the convo only got deeper when Durk started opening up about the love and prayers pouring in from fans. He's grateful, no doubt, but he doesn't sugarcoat the reality. Federal detention is harsh, ugly, and merciless. Those words, they hit like a punch in the gut. He painted a raw picture of the isolation that defines Fed time, where a single phone call, a letter, or even a word from the outside suddenly feels more valuable than stacks of cash. That's how brutal it gets. But here's the twist that's catching everyone off guard. Instead of crumbling, Durk is channeling it into growth. He's talking about his spiritual path like never before. Behind bars, he's leaning heavier into his Muslim faith, learning Arabic from fellow inmates, and locking in on prayer and study like his life depends on it. This spiritual shift Durk's been going through behind the wall lines up perfectly with the moves we've seen from him in recent years. He's been trying to walk that tightrope, keeping his street stamp while also pushing messages of growth, peace, and giving back to the community. But jail has turned that balancing act into a battlefield. Locked up, Durk's been pushing his vision harder through the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, still speaking on community work and trying to uplift youth. But the reality? Those charges hanging over his head cost him some big partnerships. Brands don't want to touch a man with a federal case hanging over him. Yet, here's the twist. Durk ain't suffering through this alone. The footage and leaked calls reveal that he's surrounded by his own people. Multiple members of his Only the Family OTF crew are locked up right beside him. That's not just one man's fall. That's the near collapse of one of Chicago's most influential hip-hop collectives. Durk was taken down alongside 5 co-defendants, all OTF affiliates, all tied to the same conspiracy that could end in life bids. Imagine it, the same crew that once had the city on lock, running the charts and the streets, now chained together in the feds, fighting for their lives. The most talked about name in the indictment, Kevin London Grant, better known in the streets as VNI, at just 28, originally from Chicago, but moving through Atlanta, VNI is labeled as a high-ranking OTF hitter, one of Durk's closest and most trusted guys. From day one, the Fed paperwork painted Kevin VNI Grant as more than just a background player. They say he was the one pulling strings. Prosecutors allege he coordinated key logistics for the alleged murder-for-hire setup, from copping ski masks to renting out cars to supplying straps, including one weapon that investigators claim was converted to full auto. But the most damaging piece? They're saying Grant allegedly swiped Lil Durk's own plastic to lock down a hotel for the crew, then hopped on a private jet with Durk to LA the very night before the shots rang out. That detail alone has people questioning how deep the rapper was tied into the mess. Right now, VNI is sitting in federal custody in Illinois, just waiting to be shipped to Los Angeles, where the case is about to explode in court. But he's not the only one, because prosecutors are also pointing straight at DeAndre D.D. Wilson, age 33, out of Chicago, as another crucial piece in the conspiracy. D.D., described as an OTF loyalist, is accused of handling the bread and the travel moves for the squad. The feds allege he booked one-way flights from Chicago to San Diego with OTF-linked funds, then lined up the drive into LA for the so-called hit team. And here's the chilling part. Those weren't round-trip flights. Prosecutors are suggesting that meant one of two things. Either the squad didn't expect to make it back alive, or they planned to vanish after the hit went down. Like VNI is now stuck in federal custody in Illinois, while other names tied to the same case, including Boogie, Brownis, and Flacca, are already behind bars, facing the same fate. What makes this whole saga even more wild is the timing. Every single one of these dudes got picked up in Chicago on October 24th, 2024.
Because if I get home for him, I'm going to kill his kids, man.
Stop playing with me. You just say if you get home before him, you going to kill his kids. Come on, gang.
It is what it is.
Come on, gang. You been in jail
I hope he get home.
100,000
I'm
years.
praying. I need him to get home.
Come on, gang.
Just days before Durk himself got snatched in Florida while allegedly trying to dip out the country. That coordinated strike makes it clear. The feds weren't moving sloppy. The downfall of OTF goes way past this federal case. 2025 turned into a nightmare for the whole crew. Authorities keep swooping in, and it feels like OTF is under a spotlight ever since Durk's arrest. On August 2nd, 2025, OTF Boona got taken down in Chicago on charges of burglary, murder, and even dumping a body in a church. The victim, Oscar Oz Cruz, was allegedly shot 17 times before being left behind. While separate from Durk's case, it added to the snowball of heat on OTF. The same month, OTF rapper Bunny Mo was arrested for cocaine possession with intent to distribute, while DJ Bands, Durk's own DJ, was caught with marijuana and hit for violating probation. Back-to-back mugshots turned OTF's name into constant headlines. And then came the killer blow. In May 2025, prosecutors revealed Durk had been using 13 different inmates' phone accounts to sneak calls, including unauthorized three-way convos. The judge blasted him, saying if Durk couldn't respect basic jail rules, there was no way he could be trusted with a $450 million bail package.
This co-conspirator who was unnamed. Check it out, right? This how cold-blooded this unnamed co-conspirator is. Let me show you the power of this unnamed co-conspirator. He offered money. Not only that.
Those leaks wrecked his shot at release. And once they hit the internet, the content turned into viral fuel. The feds call it their master plan. Wires, snitches, and life sentences all tied together. At the center of the case, prosecutors claim Lil Durk didn't just stumble into beef, but plotted a murder for hire against Quando Rondo, offering cash and music opportunities to OTF members willing to carry it out. According to officials, this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment street clash, but a multi-state conspiracy with serious planning and heavy bread behind it. 5 OTF associates allegedly flew from Chicago to Los Angeles using Durk's own credit card for flights and hotels, gearing up for the hit. One of the weapons was even said to be converted into a machine gun, showing this was organized violence, not random chaos. The scale of the investigation is staggering. Prosecutors claim they've pulled together over 200,000 pages of evidence, from financial records and travel receipts to surveillance footage. But the most devastating piece comes from a confidential informant, someone who had been secretly wired for years, recording conversations the crew thought were private. And just when it couldn't get darker, things spilled outside the courtroom. A viral video surfaced of an alleged enemy of Durk, making a bone-chilling threat that went viral online.
I don't fear nothing. Chill, deaf. It is what it is, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I got a brain. I know how to move, and I know what not to say.
It shows the hate and danger around this case run deeper than legal documents. This is blood, revenge, and street politics colliding with the federal system, leaving Durk trapped in the middle. That threat against Durk's shorties shows just how deadly serious this war really is. And it ties straight back to what prosecutors say fueled the entire murder-for-hire plot. But the wildest twist? The feds claim their case leans heavy on one person inside OTF who flipped, a confidential informant who wore a wire for years, catching conversations that now have Durk fighting for his life. In hip-hop circles, the streets are already buzzing about who that snitch might be. Rumors point to OTF Jam, a longtime crew member who got out in 2022 after serving 12 years for attempted murder. Even though court docs keep the informant's identity officially sealed, fans and blogs have locked in on Jam as the likely cooperator. And the betrayal narrative? It's got the culture shook. Back in a 2023 interview, Jam himself gave Durk credit for holding him down during his bid, sending money, name-dropping him in tracks, and showing loyalty when most people forget you. Fast forward to now, and whispers say Jam was secretly feeding the feds the whole time. That kind of switch-up feels less like regular street politics and more like a straight-up Judas move. Hip-hop analysts are tearing this apart with unprecedented detail. Content creator Hood Educated broke down how the government built a case step by step, methodical as chess, with this cooperating witness being the centerpiece of their strategy. And then came the footage, leaked in October 2024, showing Jam casually eating McDonald's during an interrogation, sparking memes, debates, and anger. That leaked clip of Jam glancing at the camera while chewing McDonald's turned into instant internet gold. Memes everywhere calling him out for snitching for a Big Mac. Funny at first glance, sure, but in hip-hop culture, the joke cuts deep. Cooperation with the feds is seen as the ultimate betrayal, and the streets never forget when somebody breaks the code of silence. But the case against Durk isn't just about Quando Rondo. The feds have uncovered disturbing patterns of alleged criminal behavior stretching far wider. Media personality DJ Academics, who's been locked in on Durk's legal drama from day one, laid it out plain. Law enforcement has had Durk in their sights for years. What we're seeing now is the culmination of a multi-jurisdictional investigation. Different agencies, different states, all lining up to finally bring him down. Academics points out that this isn't the first time Durk faced serious charges. He's dodged bullets in court before, beating heavy cases that could have buried his career. That's exactly why prosecutors are pressing so hard now. They see this federal indictment as their chance to finally make it stick. Meanwhile, Durk's own leaked jail communications show a mindset that has everyone talking. Instead of folding under the pressure of a possible life sentence, he's still talking with raw bravado, projecting toughness even while locked in a cage. To fans, it shows strength. To prosecutors, it's proof that the same street mentality they say motivated the alleged crimes is still alive and well. On the legal side, Durk's defense team led by attorney Drew Finland has been swinging back aggressively, but the challenges are massive. Durk's legal team came out swinging in April 2025, filing motions to dismiss the indictment. Their argument? The whole case leaned on shaky ground. Bad evidence, misrepresented lyrics, and nothing solid tying Durk directly to the alleged plot. They accused prosecutors of misleading the grand jury and relying on circumstantial scraps instead of hard proof. And for a moment, it looked like the defense scored a real win. In May 2025, prosecutors dropped a superseding indictment that completely removed all references to Durk's lyrics. That move was telling. Even the government seemed to recognize that trying to use rap bars as criminal evidence wouldn't fly.
One of the closest motherfuckers to me told me, start rapping. He just found you some artists. So that made me kind of go hard, you know what I'm saying? But when I see Vaughn, I always been Vaughn. Like if Vaughn was gonna be a rapper, a basketball player, a football player, Vaughn was always gonna be Vaughn. Like a good-hearted motherfucker. So he like, man, when I go on Breakfast Club.
Civil rights groups and legal experts had been blasting that tactic for years, calling it a violation of artistic freedom. But even with that victory, the walls didn't open for Durk. On May 8th, 2025, a judge once again denied his bail request, pointing straight to leaked jail calls and other behaviors as proof he was both a flight risk and a danger to the community. For the defense, it was a crushing blow. The government had just weakened its own case by cutting the lyrics.
Showed me like 5 songs. He like, man, this shit, he said all shit weak. And I told him, I'm like, man, this is my favorite song right here.
What song?
It's crazy. Crazy Story.
Really?
That motherfucker dropped Crazy Story, started going crazy. We was on tour. We was on tour too. put him on tour. I started bringing him out. Then Von became like, if Von was alive right now, he'd be like the biggest right now.
Yet Durk still couldn't get out. What makes things worse is the bigger picture that prosecutors keep painting. In December 2024, Durk's name surfaced in connection to another alleged murder for hire in Chicago involving Stefan Mack. Though he wasn't charged, feds claim he placed bounties on multiple individuals, even targeting a witness's family member. This pattern of alleged plots, whether proven or not, has fueled the narrative that Durk is simply too dangerous to be trusted with freedom. And then there's the arrest itself, the detail prosecutors love to repeat. When the feds finally swooped, Durk was allegedly on the move, flagged by U.S. Customs while booking international flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy.
It's so crazy because Von used to come in the studio and be like, hey, finish this for me. I'll help him out, finish it for him. Then that motherfucker just caught. Like, he just started rapping, started listening to his shit. You be like, damn, all right. Come on, bitch, let's die here. Like that's how he is. He ain't like, what you think? What you think they gonna think? From down my, come on, dad. I'm talking down my head. Go on here, bitch, die your whole head. Ooh, come on, twin, come on. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's dad. I'm like, fuck.
He was snatched near Miami International Airport barely an hour before a flight to Italy was set to take off. As the jailhouse clips keep flooding timelines, they hit harder than just gossip. They're a brutal reminder of the human cost tied to this case. The voice on those calls isn't just Lil Durk the rapper, the celebrity, or the headline. It's a father cut off from his kids, a fiancé locked away from India Royale, and the head of a movement that fed dozens of people tied to his empire. Every update doesn't just shake him. It rattles everyone whose future was riding on OTF's success. Prosecutors swear they've got a mountain of evidence stacked. Paperwork, witnesses, wires, and even whispers from longtime associates who may have flipped. Put together, it paints a legal battlefield that looks tougher and tougher for Durk's defense team to fight off. Each new filing, each leaked report builds the government's picture of OTF as more than music. To them, it's a criminal organization disguised as a record label, something straight out the trenches, polished up for the industry, but still tied to blood in the streets. And at the heart of it all sits one bond prosecutors keep circling back to: the connection between Durk and King Von. Their brotherhood wasn't industry politics or business moves. It was deeper, forged in Chicago's hardest corners, and loyal enough to allegedly spark what the feds are calling one of hip-hop's darkest revenge plots.
You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We was shooting a video, I think. Yeah.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
Somebody told me if you can copy an artist to be somebody for Halloween, you made it. He had a whole image. You know what I'm saying? And he lived what he lives. What he rapped about, he lived, but he was good-hearted at the same time. So it's like
that blood brother energy, the ride or die mentality, is exactly what they argue pushed Durk to risk everything: his freedom, his career, even his family's stability. To understand why Durk is now sitting in a federal detention center staring at a possible life sentence, you have to understand what Von meant to him. This wasn't a simple rapper-to-rapper partnership. What Durk and King Von built wasn't just music. It was mentorship, brotherhood, and business all wrapped into one. A bond that reshaped Chicago's drill scene and now, ironically, sits at the center of federal charges threatening to bury Durk's career forever. King Von, born Davon Daquan Bennett, was gunned down on November 6, 2020, outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. That night sent shockwaves through hip-hop, but the story of Von and Durk's connection started years earlier in Chicago's trenches. When Durk first crossed paths with Von, he didn't just see another hustler trying to rap. He saw raw, uncut authenticity, the kind you can't fake, can't manufacture, can't buy with industry plugs. Von's talent was undeniable. His storytelling painted the streets like a movie reel, pulling listeners into the cold realities of Chicago life. Even seasoned drill veterans admitted Von had something rare, a way of making every bar feel like a first-hand scene you couldn't look away from. In one of his most revealing interviews, Durk explained the moment he realized Von wasn't just good, he was exceptional. It wasn't luck, it wasn't a chance cosign. It was a deliberate recognition of greatness, a decision that would forever change both of their lives. But Von's impact reached way past music. Durk saw himself in Von. The hunger, the pain, the authenticity, and the courage to speak about trauma while still commanding respect from the streets. This wasn't an industry puppet or a manufactured act. This was Von, straight from the block, living every word he spit. And that's why their professional bond morphed into something deeper, closer to blood ties than business deals. The rise of Von inside OTF wasn't just about records or charts. It was about brotherhood. And the speed at which his talent was recognized shows just how magnetic he was, not only to fans, but to Durk himself, who was ready to bet it all on him. The moment Durk put the full weight of OTF behind King Von, his career shot forward like a rocket. But what made their connection stand out in the cutthroat world of hip-hop wasn't just the music or the business, it was the genuine bond, the care, the respect, and the loyalty that blurred the lines between business partners and blood family. Durk never looked at Von as some artist to squeeze for profit. He saw him as family, tied to his own rise and fall. Von's wins were Durk's wins, and Von's safety became Durk's personal responsibility. That protective instinct, almost paternal, now sits at the center of why prosecutors argue Durk risked it all in the alleged revenge plot that followed Von's death. Their chemistry in the studio showed just how rare their bond was. Von would pull up with wild energy and rough, raw concepts. Then Durk would sharpen them, molding songs without ever stripping away the gritty authenticity that made Von's sound so captivating. It wasn't a boss and employee setup. It was mutual respect, a partnership where Von's creativity thrived under Durk's guidance, but never lost its edge. Durk gave Von the platform, but the magic was always Von's own. His stories, his pain, his voice straight from the block. And beyond the studio, Durk schooled him on survival in the rap game. The contracts, the business moves, the balance of industry and street respect. That mentorship was more than music. For Durk and Von, survival in the rap game wasn't just about charts and fame. It was life or death in an industry just as dangerous as the streets they came from, especially when the music itself was soaked in real-life conflicts, beefs, and bodies. Von's meteoric rise was tied directly to Durk's cosign. In just months, he went from a name barely known outside Chicago to one of the most hyped storytellers in drill music. The formula was deadly effective. Von's raw storytelling, blended with Durk's industry savvy and connections, created a perfect storm. Together, they fast-tracked Von to a level of recognition that might have taken years without OTF's machine behind him. But that spotlight came with shadows. Law enforcement locked in on him, rival crews circled, and the microscope of the drill scene made every move feel like a target on his back. The same authenticity that made Von's music so gripping also painted a bullseye on him. And on that November night in Atlanta, outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge, it all came crashing down. His death wasn't just another tragedy. It was the severing of a bond that had become central to both men's lives. Durk's phone lit up in Houston with the call that Von was gone, and prosecutors now argue that moment set off a chain reaction that spiraled into the alleged murder-for-hire plot he's fighting today. For Durk, Von's death wasn't just personal grief. It was an attack on everything he built, everything he represented, and everyone he loved. In both the streets and hip-hop culture, there's an unwritten code. When someone you call family gets taken, especially in a way that feels unjust, retaliation is expected. It's about respect, honor, and credibility in a world where showing weakness can be fatal. The government's narrative is simple but devastating. Durk's loyalty to Von crossed a line. What started as love and grief, they argue, turned into revenge. A leap from personal tragedy into a criminal conspiracy that now has him staring at life behind bars. Prosecutors allege that instead of channeling his grief into music or the courts, Durk flipped his resources, his influence, and his crew into a machine of revenge. A move that, they say, ended up taking an innocent life and tearing multiple families apart. The deepest cut? Many believe Von's death itself could have been prevented. That night in Atlanta started as a fight. A physical altercation between King Von and rapper Quando Rondo, along with his associate Terrell Bowman. But fists quickly gave way to gunfire, as both crews unleashed shots. Von was struck multiple times and later died from his injuries. Initially, Quando's affiliate Timothy "Lul" Tim Leaks was charged with Von's murder. But in October 2023, the charges were dismissed under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. That dismissal lit a fire. For Von's supporters, it was a slap in the face, a message that the system wouldn't deliver justice for his killing. And prosecutors now argue that this was the breaking point. The moment that fueled the so-called revenge plot Durk is accused of setting into motion. From his perspective, the courts had failed his brother, leaving only one option: street justice. The relationship between Durk and Von is a double-edged sword, showing both the brightest and darkest parts of hip-hop culture. On one side, it's a story of loyalty, mentorship, and the way one artist lifted another into the spotlight. On the other, it's a tale of how loyalty, pride, and the unspoken street codes of respect can spiral into violence, revenge, and destruction. Now, as Durk sits locked in federal detention, staring down the very real chance he may never walk free again, those viral jail calls echo louder than ever. The same bond that inspired him to elevate Von's career is the bond prosecutors say dragged him into plotting retaliation. A loyalty that, if their case sticks, could end Durk's freedom for life. In the end, this story cuts far deeper than just Durk and Von. The tragedy stretches out to their families, their crews, their neighborhoods, and the millions of fans who once looked at their brotherhood as proof that talent and loyalty could rise out of Chicago's hardest corners. What should have been a legacy of music, mentorship, and triumph has been twisted into a saga of indictments, betrayal, and shattered dreams. Instead of celebrating King Von's posthumous releases or watching Durk dominate the charts as a free man, the culture is forced to witness the possible destruction of everything they built together. It's a chilling reminder of how fast success in hip-hop can flip into downfall when loyalty and street codes collide with federal law. So what do you think? Was Durk a victim of his loyalty? Or did his love for Von pull him too far into the streets? Sound off in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over.